The studio lights felt like a physical weight, pressing down on everyone in the room. The hum of massive air conditioning units was the only sound for one brief, suspended second, the silence before a bomb detonates. Anderson Cooper sat perfectly still across from Donald Trump, his expression carrying that familiar mask of journalistic neutrality, but his knuckles were white where his hands rested on the polished desk. "Mr. Trump," Anderson began, his voice low and measured, "we've covered the economy, immigration, foreign policy, but I want to ask you about something more personal. Throughout your career in the public eye, you've made repeated comments about your daughter Ivanka that many people, not just critics, but everyday Americans find deeply unsettling. You've called her a voluptuous daughter. You've said multiple times in interviews that you would date her if she wasn't your daughter. In this current moment, with a national conversation about how women are spoken to and spoken about, do you understand why people might find those comments inappropriate?" For a moment, nothing happened. Trump's trademark smirk didn't vanish, it simply transformed. It became thinner, tighter, more dangerous. His eyes, which had been scanning the studio audience with that performative awareness he always carried, locked onto Anderson with the focus of a predator. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 20 degrees. "Inappropriate?" Trump's voice came out as a low rumble, the prelude to a storm. "The only thing inappropriate here, Anderson, is you sitting there with your fake concern and your fake news mentality. Ivanka is a beautiful woman. She's an incredible woman. Everyone knows this. She's a winner, just like her father. And when you have a daughter like that, you're proud. You're supposed to be proud. It's called being a father." He leaned forward, planting both forearms on the desk, his body shifting from relaxed entitlement to coiled aggression. "I've built an empire. I've raised 3 incredible children, and my daughter Ivanka is a testament to that. She's smart, smarter than most of the people in this room. She's strong, stronger than any of the politicians who try to tear me down. And yes, she's beautiful. She got those genes from me and her mother. So when I say she's beautiful, I'm stating fact. And when I say that if I wasn't her father, maybe I would date her, so what? It's a compliment. It's the highest compliment a man can give a woman." The moderator, veteran journalist Sarah Jenkins, tried to interject from her position at the end of the panel. "Mr. Trump, with respect, the distinction Anderson is drawing is between—" "Distinction?" Trump snapped, whipping his head toward her. The word came out like a gunshot. "I'll tell you about distinction. The distinction is that I love my daughter, and I'm not afraid to say it. You people sit here with your fancy degrees and your $5,000 suits, and you want to tell me how to talk about my own family. It's disgusting. It's exactly what's wrong with this country." The studio audience was a seething mass of visible tension. You could literally see the divide. Maybe a third of them on their feet, clapping, some even cheering. Another third sat in stunned, horrified silence. The remaining third seemed caught somewhere in between, unsure whether to laugh, cry, or simply walk out. The split in the room was a tangible thing, a tear in the fabric of what was supposed to be a civilized debate. Priya Sharma, a liberal commentator and former congressional aide, leaned into her microphone with the determination of someone walking into battle. "Sir, nobody is telling you not to love your daughter. Nobody is saying you can't find her beautiful. What we're saying, what people have been saying for years, is that there's a difference between a father saying, 'I'm proud of my daughter's accomplishments,' and a man saying, 'I would date my daughter if she wasn't related to me.' That's not a compliment. That's objectification. And the fact that she's your daughter should make that distinction even more obvious, not less." Trump's face reddened visibly, a deep flush climbing up from his collar. He pointed a thick finger at her, jabbing it through the air. "You don't know me. You don't know my family. You sit there in your little ivory tower with your perfect liberal opinions and you judge me. You know what? My family is off limits. They are the only people in this world I truly trust, the only people who have never betrayed me, and you want to drag them through the mud because I gave my daughter a compliment?"
parliament? You're the problem. People like you, with your twisted minds and your political correctness, you're the reason this country is going straight to hell. Mark Reynolds, the conservative pundit on the panel, seized the opening like a veteran fighter. He's absolutely right. This is a witch hunt, plain and simple. A man can't even express love for his own daughter anymore without being attacked by the left-wing media? You want to talk about what's wrong with America? Look at this panel. Look at how they're trying to destroy a man for saying his daughter is beautiful. It's a sad, sad day when fatherly pride becomes a political scandal. Priya shot back immediately, her voice shaking with a mixture of anger and genuine disbelief. Fatherly pride? Is that what we're calling it now? Fatherly pride is saying, my daughter graduated top of her class. Fatherly pride is saying, my daughter built a successful business. Fatherly pride is not saying, I would date her if she wasn't related to me. There's a canyon of difference between those things, and the fact that you can't see it or won't see it is exactly why we're having this conversation in the first place. Anderson raised a hand, trying to restore some semblance of order. Let's take a step back. Mr. Trump, help me understand. Do you see any distinction at all between saying, my daughter is smart and capable, and saying, I would date my daughter? In your mind, are those two statements fundamentally different? Trump leaned back in his chair, the smirk returning in full force. He looked at Anderson with an expression that mixed pity with contempt, the look of a man who believed he was speaking to someone too naive to understand basic truths. They're the same thing, Anderson. It's all good. It's all part of what makes her special. You're trying to separate them, to put them in little boxes so you can attack one and ignore the other, but you can't. It's all one package. She's a complete person. She's smart, she's strong, she's beautiful, she's loyal. And when you see that in your child, you acknowledge it, you celebrate it. It's called being a father. It's called being honest, something this panel wouldn't know anything about. Sarah Jenkins pressed harder, her journalist instincts overriding any concern for maintaining polite discourse. But the hypothetical, sir, that's what people keep coming back to. The if I wasn't her father hypothetical. You said it multiple times in multiple interviews over many years. Why go there? Why create that scenario in the public consciousness? Why not simply say, I'm proud of my daughter and leave it at that?
For just a moment, something flickered in Trump's eyes, something cold and calculating, a brief glimpse behind the performance. Then it was gone, replaced by the familiar defiant glare. Because it's a hypothetical that people understand. Regular people, the people watching at home, the ones who work hard and play by the rules. They understand beauty. They understand attraction. They understand that when you have something beautiful in your life, you acknowledge it. They don't understand the nonsense you're trying to spin, this garbage about objectification and inappropriate language. That's DC speak. That's swamp language. I speak American. He turned slightly, addressing the camera directly, his voice dropping into the cadence of a campaign rally. To the real Americans watching at home, the mothers and fathers, the hard-working families, do you think it's a crime to love your daughter? Do you think it's a crime to think she's beautiful? Do you think it's wrong to be proud of what you created? Of course you don't, because you're normal, you're sane, you're not these people. The studio erupted. The cheers from his supporters were deafening, a wall of sound that seemed to shake the very lights hanging from the ceiling. Someone in the audience started a chant, USA, USA, and within seconds it had spread, a dozen voices becoming 50, becoming 100. The camera operators panned across the crowd, capturing the frenzy, the raw emotional divide playing out on dozens of faces. In the chaos, Priya was shouting over the noise, her voice hoarse with effort. This is not patriotism. This is deflection. He's not answering the question. Mark was yelling back at her, his words lost in the general roar, but his meaning clear from his gesturing, his pointing, his righteous indignation.
Anderson was calling for order, his voice nearly swallowed by the storm, Sarah Jenkins doing the same from her end of the panel. And in the center of it all, Donald Trump sat perfectly still, a calm and satisfied figurehead in the hurricane he had created. The smirk was firmly back in place, wider than ever. He had done what he always did, taken a question designed to corner him, designed to force an acknowledgement of something uncomfortable, and turned it into a weapon. He had taken a comment about his daughter and reframed it as a battle between the common-sense loving American and the out-of-touch, morally bankrupt elite. He had made the question itself the scandal. The debate wasn't over. It was barely beginning. But the first 30 seconds of this clip, the ones that would be clipped, shared, memed, debated, and replayed a million times across every platform, wouldn't be Sarah's pointed question, or Priya's articulate outrage, or even Anderson's calm attempts at moderation. It would be his face, his defiance, his simple, devastatingly effective reframing of the entire conversation. It would be him asking the audience if they thought it was a crime to love your daughter, and the crowd roaring back their answer. The hook was set, deep and unshakable, and in that moment, watching it happen in real time, you could feel the country splitting along familiar fault lines, the ground shifting beneath everyone's feet. Somewhere in the control room, a producer was already cutting the clip, already preparing it for the news cycle that would consume the next week, the next month, the next election. And Donald Trump sat in his chair, riding the wave he had created, knowing exactly what he had done. The lights kept blazing, the cameras kept rolling, the audience kept screaming, and the question, the actual question, the one about how we talk about women, about daughters, about power and objectification and the lines that shouldn't be crossed, that question hung in the air, unanswered, swallowed by the noise. Maybe that was the point. Maybe that was always the point.